Guys, what's going on? Right, so I'm gonna just take a look and see what's going on the radio this morning. And I was using the 3000 last night. I had some guy send me an email about the 3000, and I have the 3000 listed for $1,200 on Craigslist. I've listed it because people like to lowball you, and this is my case in point. So this guy offered me $600 for the radio listed at $1,200. He said, "I don't really need the radio, but if you want to get rid of it, I'll give you $600." I told him, I said, I can't go that low, but I understand everybody wants a good deal on stuff. So if you have something you want to trade, I'd be willing to consider trades and things like that. But I just can't do $600. I told him, I said, go look on eBay and you'll see what these are going for. They sell on eBay for about $900 to $1,200. That's the average price, along with like some ridiculous shipping. So, I forget what he replied, but ultimately I said, look, if you have something to trade, that's cool. If not, just give me $800 cash. And then he said, I'll think about it. And then I said, well, here, tell you what. The box is huge. It's taking up a lot of space. I don't have room for it. Bring me $700 and it's yours. No reply. Crickets. Why the fuck would you offer me $600 on a $1,200 radio that usually sells for $1,000? You just offered me half of what I listed it for. That's like lowball beyond lowball. And then I came back and I lowballed myself all the way down to $700. Only $100 more than you offered. And you didn't want it. So anyway, I used it last night. I was talking to David. We were on AM. This thing does 100 watts on AM. It's crazy. It's one of these weird things. I think it says it's only capable of like 25 watts on AM, but it doesn't. It just goes like the knob reads 100 when you turn the knob. I think it's an error in the manual. But anyway, it does good AM. So we run AM for a minute. But I like the radio. I just kind of like, I don't have room. So here we are in this one. And look, I don't have room. I don't have room for any of this crap. And I really just need to put it away. I just, like, this isn't even like the beginning of my problem. My problem is I've just got way too much stuff, and I find too much cool stuff at the thrift store, and I've just like literally overwhelmed myself. And that's why I haven't been going to the thrift store, because I've got to play catch up. I've got to go through this stuff. I've got to get rid of stuff. I've got to sell stuff. I've got to get stuff organized, because it's like kind of like the squirrel gathering nuts before the winter. And then, okay, it's wintertime, now we got to go through everything. And I've just never done that. I just keep gathering and gathering and gathering and gathering and gathering. Part of that is because this economy that we're living in right now is so horrible that what I've learned is you get it while the getting is good, because you may not be able to get it later. So, anyway, this radio is kind of in my way. One thing about the radio is it's a great radio, but the display is not good for what I'm used to. The display, the waterfall, it's not accurate. It's not configurable. It'll give you kind of a really rudimentary idea of what's going on. So, whereas the 710 is extremely accurate, and also pretty good at getting rid of noise. So I have not really decided what to do with it at this point, because it's like, well, I paid $750 for it, plus I traded several $100s of 2-meter UHF equipment, a Mirage 160 meter amp, a power supply, a couple of HTs, a dual band Yaesu Fusion radio. I think it was the FTM 7250. So they don't make that radio anymore, but it was, I think it was about $219 when I bought it. I don't know what would it actually be worth, probably $100. So for me to offer it to some stranger that lowballed me half of my listed price for $700, I think was pretty generous, considering I paid more than that for it. But they definitely would not be getting an MD100 with it. And I have the original microphone and all this other stuff for it. I've even got the RT Systems programming cable. I sure as hell wouldn't be giving that to the guy for $700 either. You know, especially not when you jerk somebody around and you like lowball them and you bicker back and forth. No. Be like, here's a radio, no microphone, no cable, dickhead. But I don't need the money. But it would be nice. Because here's the thing, if I could get what I wanted, close to what I wanted, for a few of these radios that I have taking up room, I could try something different. But it doesn't seem to work that way anymore. So I think what I might end up doing is just go ahead and put it in the other room in the house inside of its original box. I've got the microfiber cloth. I'm going to dust it off, clean it off, and I'll just put it away. I don't need it out on the bench. It's just like not a bad radio, but it just, I don't know. I'm mostly over here using this one lately. You know, and everything I do, it changes, it comes and goes. It's kind of like just a bipolar mood swing. But I must be like super zoomed out here. This is just easier for me as a more of a listener than a talker. Now this morning, 10 meters is open. Yesterday it was not. They're all open. It's easier to just go ahead and check FT8. Just to see where you're at, you know? And then we got 40, which I've turned the gain down on severely. The band is doing the same thing it was doing yesterday. Noisy, quiet, noisy, quiet. Let's see if we can pull up some of these other signals.
I never have yet. For a while I was on I'm 75, but the only time
I can't listen to these guys. They're very political. They claim they're not, though, but they are. I think the biggest thing with ham radio is like probably just stay away from politics and doctor's appointments and medical issues. Talk about the interesting technical aspects of amateur radio. If you wanted to talk about politics on the radio, well, you could do that on your phone with your buddies. You could do that, somewhere else. It really isn't needed on here. I'm not saying I don't ever talk politics, but those guys are particularly really bad. Okay, anyway, bands look good. I'll catch you guys later.